All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff in this video, a ton of stuff. But you know what? Sometimes you just need to put your neck out on the line, you know? You got to do things that might not be popular for the greater good. And right now, that's what I'm doing with this video, because I think what I'm going to title this is Logan Paul and Logan Paul and Tyron Woodley set for January, ? You know? And I think that the number of people who click on this video will be demonstration that that is the correct next step, right? Because Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley 2 makes no sense whatsoever. But there's money to be made because it looks like these guys just had a historic pay-per-view, right? They're saying it's going to be close to the 5th highest pay-per-view of all time. I don't see how that's even possible, but look at that, right? So good for Tyron Woodley, because we're going to also talk about how much he got paid and how Jake Paul made that happen for him. And we're going to talk about a bunch of other stuff. But before I do, if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. We're going to talk about Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira. We got a ton of stuff we're going to talk about. But first of all, let's just talk about this, right? Let's start with Jake Paul, who took a pay cut so that he could give other guys on the card a historical payday. Now, he's been breaking Dana's balls about paying his fighters. Incredibly smart troll. I'm sure Dana's very pissed off about it. But he put his money where his mouth is. He took less money so that Tyron Woodley, like I looked at the rest of the card, I was like, yeah, these guys are making decent money. And then I was like, who is he giving all this money to? Oh, Tyron Woodley's getting paid $2 million base salary. Now, if you guys don't know how champions contracts are structured in the UFC, you get a base salary plus back end of the pay-per-view. Everybody knows that. But I don't think a lot of people know what the range is for their base salary. So the range is around 1.5 million base up to about 5 million base, depending on who it is. Okay, now I think Connor's is much higher than that. But like GSP was at $5 million base salary. Other guys are as low as 1.5 million base salary. And then they get back end on the pay-per-view. So every champion is well into 7 figures every time that they fight. But others are making much more money, right? So Tyron Woodley making $2 million base salary plus a piece of the back end of one of the most, looks like one of the biggest pay-per-views ever. For a 39-year-old fighter who's lost 4 in a row, I think that's some kind of world record. That's for goddamn sure. So I like thinking about that, dude. Like you look at Floyd Mayweather. He fights, makes an enormous amount of money. He retires, and then somehow figures out a way to make like $400 million between Conor and the Logan Paul fight, fighting amateurs who have never fought professionally ever. And like people are like, oh God, what is this? It's a spectacle. What? It's a bank robbery, son. Like, I've never understood people who get bent out of shape about that. I look at it, like if I see someone who has figured out their niche and they leverage that niche to make an enormous amount of money, I just go, man, that guy's a genius. Like how you could look at that and think anything other than that guy's a genius is crazy. It just means you don't see business like that guy do. I see business as like the ultimate game of life, you know? Because like every single person is out chasing money in one way or another. I mean, like, it's one of the things I think about sometimes. It's really bizarre. Like if you have these people that are not wired, like they're an empty vessel that like you can never get enough, you know, like certain people, you can never get enough money. There are some people that aren't wired that way and they get $10 million and they're like, oh, I'm done. And they give it to a money manager and they know they have this much money to live on forever and they're done. They're done with money, right? And you think about how rare that is. Someone who doesn't in any capacity have to even consider money anymore. And think about that, like actually think about that and then compare it to the rest of society. Everyone's constantly thinking about money, constantly. It is the one thing that everyone universally is thinking about all the time. And guess what? Some people transcend that game. So I look at business as the game of life, the game that everyone's playing. Literally, whether you realize it or not, you're playing, okay? You go to a job you hate every day, you're playing the game. You go to a job that you love every day, you're winning the game. If you're making enormous money on something as stupid as fighting a guy who is so laughably less qualified or less good than you, and you make historic money on it, I just look at that, I'm like, this guy's a genius. And also, what does it demonstrate? What we always talk about here, fight game, right? Fight game, okay? And so, I just love it, dude. I look at Floyd and I'm like, he's a genius. And so you look at like someone like Tyron Woodley, and I don't care what you want to say. You're like, oh, well, it's all because of Jake Paul. So what? Okay, Tyron, like you think Tyron had nothing to, like Tyron Woodley got that fight and was able to get $2 million, even if Jake Paul was being charitable. Oh, and then also back end on the pay-per-view. He's going to make $5, $6, $7 million. So like, if you think the only reason for that is because of Jake Paul, you're crazy. He was a world champion who fought his contract out at UFC and was able to go do that. And then he did an incredible job hyping this fight, dude. Like Tyron Woodley, I don't care what you say. Tyron Woodley did an exceptional job hyping this fight, period. Like there's no room for interpretation. He crushed it hyping this fight. And so a lot of this is due to him. This is not just the Jake show. That's not true. And so a guy who's 39 years old and gets a payday like that, boom, son, winner. Like winner. Tyron Woodley crushed it, dude. And so good for him. I love that shit, you know. But as it relates to a rematch, does that make a lot of sense? Jake Paul and Tyron, it's like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Actually, the more I think about it, the more I think people would just buy it again, you know? But it's a lot less interesting, I think. Like Jake Paul, you don't need to see Jake Paul fight the same person again. That's not fun. The whole fun is Jake Paul fighting new people. Even if, Jake Paul called out Tim Tebow, I would be more excited about that than Tyron Woodley. You know, I wish he would fight someone that I really wanted to see get knocked out so I could like enjoy that, but whatever. It is what it is. But Tyron Woodley is a good dance partner, and who should he fight? Logan Paul, obviously. That's my point. Is like the Paul brothers and Tyron Woodley, that still makes sense, just not Jake. Have Logan Paul fight Tyron Woodley. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And if I do end up titling this thing, Logan Paul and Tyron Woodley set for January, look at how many people click on this video. That should in itself demonstrate that this is a good idea. If this video ends up getting 9,000 views, you know what? This is the poll. How many people click on this video? I'm going to title it that. How many people click on this video is going to be the poll. If this is a good idea or a bad idea, period. Okay, so if a shitload of people click on it, then that means it was a good idea. Anyway, but also let's give props to Jake Paul for you know, doing the work to put himself in a position where he can be the A side of a boxing match against a former UFC world champion, and also taking less money so that Tyron Woodley can get paid. That's fucking badass, dude. I don't care what anybody says about that guy. That's fucking badass. And Logan Paul cried after his brother won because he was so happy. That's fucking badass. So I don't care, dude. I don't give a fuck. I'm not talking shit about anybody. I love everybody involved in this thing. I have nothing but respect for every single person involved in this entire thing. So let's run it back. Let's do it with Logan. Now, what was the other thing that I was going to talk about? I remember. Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira apparently set for December. Now, there's nothing new or, you know, crazy I can add to this except one motherfucking thing. If Dustin Poirier beats Charles Oliveira and then he gets on the mic and he relinquishes the belt and then he calls Conor out, I swear to God, I am going to fucking take this table and I'm going to smash it in a million pieces because I'm going to be so fired up and be like, get off me. Because then we'll know where he got that idea. Because not only did a bunch of people watch it, I fucking sent it to him. Chandler's side, bunch of people's side, fucking everyone's side. So if he does that, you guys remember this moment. If Dustin Poirier beats Charles, relinquishes the belt, and then calls out Conor, says, I'm fucking giving up. If I have to, I'll give up this fucking belt. He doesn't actually have to even give up the belt. He just needs to say he's willing to give it up so that he gets Conor the title shot, because that'll give the UFC the excuse to give Conor that shot where they're like, look, man, he's the champion. He demanded that it's Conor. What are we going to do, man? You know, what are we supposed to do? He's the champ, man. He's the champ. So Dustin just needs to threaten it. I will relinquish this fucking belt. I've got a blood feud with that little leprechaun up in fucking Ireland. Heal up, dude. Heal that little ankle up so I can break it again in front of the whole world. You and me have a blood feud that's unfinished. Talk about my wife again. I fucking dare you. Get on Twitter, tweet some shit, and then delete it, you fucking weasel. I'm going to crush your little, like that. On the microphone, say he's going to relinquish. Obviously I'm not actually saying that to Conor. I'm Dustin in this scenario. If you haven't ever seen this channel, I do that a lot. Like, I was Dustin right there. That was what Dustin should say, What do you mean that's what Dustin should say? I was doing an imitation of Dustin. But you said it to Conor. I said it to Conor like as if I was Dustin. This is weird. Your channel's stupid. Mm-hmm. Is it? Is it stupid? It is, dude. Like, I totally didn't even understand what you were doing. Like, okay. Get off my fucking channel. Idiot! Anywho, so, I have a long weekend. I have a lot of exciting things going on that I can't wait to announce soon. But, yeah, dude, I have tomorrow off, then Saturday off, I'm sorry. Yeah, tomorrow off, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off, dog. Woo! I don't know why I'm still talking. I'm done. I am done with this video, and yet I'm still talking. I'm still gonna talk. You know why? Because now I can just like, let's just see how good at this I am, because I have nothing left to say. I'm just gonna like, hey dude, you guys like coconut water? I do. It's delicious. I don't know. You want to know? You guys want to know something? So a kid in my, or 3 kids in my daughter's class came down with the bug, and we found that out via email. And then last night, so we're like, oh geez, you know, super scary, right? Like super scary. And then Joe Rogan had it same day. I talked to my buddy who told me that his buddy who's a golf pro, is 43 years old, was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and his father-in-law is still in the hospital. And I was like, damn. So I was like, Joe Rogan has it. These 2 guys, he's on the phone, found out about the kid in the class, and I was like, geez, you know? And then last night, my daughter comes into my room, hacking up a lung. Like, could not stop coughing, my 4-year-old. And I was like, oh, good. Like, coughing. Like, couldn't sleep because she couldn't stop coughing. I was like, good God. Okay. So we'll see. I might be on borrowed time now, guys. But I did start a treatment of the thing that starts with I that Joe Rogan also did, that people say is for horses because they're dismissive of, things that you can't charge money for because they've been out for a long time. So I will let you guys know how it goes, because I have not gotten any kind of, and I almost certainly have been exposed now, and I just started the thing that starts with the I that's for horses. So I don't know. If you guys don't see me on here for a while, I might be dead. Either that, or I have the immune system of a fucking tiger, which is highly likely, because I do. As a matter of fact, that I just know to be true, because I'm strong everywhere, okay? I can talk for real now, because no one would have made it this long if you don't like my channel. If you like my channel, I can tell you the truth. My dick is this big, and my fucking immune system matches it. Okay? I'm gonna be fine. I'm not scared at all. Anyway, all that's true. Every single thing that I just said is true. But we'll see. Anyway, love you guys.